Hello, history lovers and adventure seekers. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey, one that bridged two worlds and changed the course of history forever. We're following the footsteps of one of the most famous travelers of all time, Marco Polo. Get ready to traverse deserts, cross mountains, and enter the dazzling court of a mighty emperor. This isn't just a story. It's a testament to the power of curiosity and the courage to step into the unknown. Picture this: Venice, Italy, in the 13th century. It's a bustling hub of trade, a city of canals and dreams. Here, a young man named Marco Polo is about to leave everything he knows behind. In the year 1271, alongside his father Niccolo and his uncle Maffeo, a teenage Marco sets out on what will become one of the most legendary expeditions in human history. The Polo brothers were seasoned merchants, having already traveled to the east once before. But for young Marco, this was the beginning of a life-altering adventure. Their destination? The mysterious and fabled land of Cathay, or as we know it today, China. Their mission was not just about trade. They were also carrying messages from the Pope to the great ruler of the Mongol Empire. Little did Marco know, this journey would last for 24 years and would transform him from a boy into a legend. The path they took was no simple road trip. It was the legendary Silk Road, a network of ancient trade routes that snaked across Asia for thousands of miles. Imagine the sheer scale of this undertaking. They traveled on foot, on horseback, and by camel, facing scorching deserts like the vast Taklamakan, a place whose name ominously means, "You go in, but you don't come out." They navigated treacherous mountain passes like the Pamirs, often called the roof of the world, where the air is thin and the cold is biting. They encountered bandits, survived harsh weather, and faced the constant threat of the unknown. Every sunrise brought a new landscape, every sunset a new challenge. For Marco, this was a real-world education far beyond anything he could have learned in Venice. He was a keen observer, meticulously noting the customs of the people he met, the unique animals he saw, and the different ways of life that unfolded before his eyes. This journey wasn't just about getting from point A to point B. It was about absorbing a world utterly different from his own. After 3.5 grueling years of travel, the Polos finally arrived at their destination, the magnificent summer palace of the great Kublai Khan, located in a place Marco called Xanadu. Kublai Khan was no ordinary ruler. He was the grandson of the formidable Genghis Khan and the emperor of the vast Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous land empire in history. He was a powerful, intelligent, and curious leader, and he was immediately fascinated by the young Venetian. He was impressed by Marco's intelligence, his sharp memory, and his talent for languages. Unlike many foreigners who kept to themselves, Marco made a genuine effort to immerse himself in this new culture. He learned the local languages, studied the customs, and earned the emperor's trust. Kublai Khan saw a valuable asset in Marco and appointed him as a special emissary. This wasn't just a desk job. As an envoy for the emperor, Marco Polo traveled all over China and even beyond, to places like modern-day Vietnam and Myanmar. His duties gave him an unprecedented all-access pass to the Mongol Empire. He saw things that no European had ever witnessed. He marveled at sprawling cities like Hangzhou, which he described as the city of heaven, claiming it was the finest and noblest in the world, far grander than anything in Europe. He witnessed the use of paper money, a concept completely alien to Europeans who were still using heavy metal coins. He was amazed by the burning of black stones, coal for heat, another novelty. He saw the production of fine porcelain and silk, commodities that were worth their weight in gold back home. He even described the complex and efficient Mongol postal system, a network of relay stations with fresh horses that allowed messages to travel with incredible speed across the empire. Marco wasn't just a tourist. He was a documentarian, absorbing every detail of this advanced and sophisticated civilization. For 17 years, Marco Polo lived and served in Kublai Khan's court. He became a trusted advisor, a friend, and a window to the West for the emperor. He held various official posts and was given great responsibility. But as time went on, the Polos began to feel the pull of home. They were getting older, and they longed to see Venice again. Kublai Khan, however, had grown fond of them and was reluctant to let them leave. Their chance finally came in 1292. A Mongol princess was to be sent to Persia to marry a ruler there, and the sea route was deemed safer than the overland journey. Since the Polos were experienced travelers and sailors, they were chosen to escort her. This voyage was an adventure in itself, a 2-year journey across the Indian Ocean. They sailed past the shores of Vietnam, Malaysia, Sumatra, Sri Lanka, and India, with Marco documenting everything from the pearl divers of the Indian coast to the exotic spices of the islands. After successfully delivering the princess to Persia, the Polos finally made their way back to Venice, arriving in the winter of 1295. They had been gone for 24 years. When they showed up at their family home, they were unrecognizable. Dressed in worn, foreign clothes and speaking with a strange accent, their own relatives didn't believe it was them. To prove their identities and the truth of their journey, the Polos hosted a grand dinner. They appeared in their tattered coats, and then, dramatically, they slit the seams. Out poured a river of precious jewels, rubies, sapphires, diamonds, and emeralds, that they had hidden within the fabric. The guests were stunned into silence. Marco Polo was home, and he had the fortune to prove it. But his greatest treasure wasn't the jewels. It was the stories he carried in his mind. A few years after his return, Venice went to war with its rival, Genoa. Marco, commanding a ship, was captured and thrown into a Genoese prison. It was here, in this dark and unlikely place, that his legacy would be cemented. He shared a cell with a writer of romance novels named Rustichello da Pisa. Day after day, Marco recounted the incredible tales of his travels, of the grand cities, the powerful emperor, the strange customs, and the immense wealth of the East. Rustichello was captivated and wrote everything down. The result was a book known as Il Milione, or The Million, which later became famously known as The Travels of Marco Polo. When the book was released, many people dismissed it as pure fantasy. They nicknamed Marco Il Milione because they believed he had told 1,000,000 lies. Stories of paper money, burning rocks, and palaces with golden roofs seemed too far-fetched, like fairy tales. But the book was not forgotten. Despite the disbelief, it was copied by hand and circulated throughout Europe. It was a revolutionary document. For the first time, Europeans had a detailed, first-hand account of the geography, culture, and riches of the Far East. It painted a picture of a world that was not only real, but also immensely desirable. The book's descriptions of spices, silks, and gold ignited the imaginations of merchants and adventurers. It created a powerful desire to establish direct trade routes to the east, bypassing the long and dangerous Silk Road. One young navigator from Genoa who was particularly inspired was Christopher Columbus. Over a century and a half later, Columbus would set sail westward, carrying a heavily annotated copy of Marco Polo's book, convinced he could reach the fabled lands Marco had described by sailing in the opposite direction. So, what is the true legacy of Marco Polo? He wasn't the first European to reach China. His own father and uncle had done that. But he was the first to explore it so extensively and, most importantly, the first to bring back such a detailed and comprehensive account. His book, born in a prison cell, became a key that unlocked a new era of exploration. It challenged the medieval European worldview and expanded its horizons, literally and figuratively. Marco Polo's journey showed that the world was much larger, richer, and more complex than anyone had ever imagined. He built a bridge of knowledge between East and West, and his stories, once dismissed as lies, inspired the age of discovery and reshaped the map of the world. His life is a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures begin with a single step into the unknown. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through history. What part of Marco Polo's story amazes you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious,